Hello and welcome everyone to episode 99 of the Living Healthy Today podcast. My name is Carol Lee Cohen and I am a certified nutritionist, a health and wellness consultant, sports nutritionist, and weight management consultant. And most importantly, have been using the ketogenic lifestyle now for a number of years with great success in addressing some of my own health issues. And this is going to be a bonus video to our 4 weeks to Keto series that's going to be all about breaking plateaus and stalls. And hopefully up to this point, you've watched our core video that talks about the core nutrition that we use to make keto more successful. You've watched the introductory video where we talked about what keto is all about. And you definitely have listened to week 1, week 2, week 3, and week 4, where we take a meal at a time, as well as throw in some snacking ideas and some troubleshooting. And if you've listened to all of those, you're up to speed, then you are ready for this troubleshooting video for plateaus and stalls. Again, I just want to make sure that you have listened to these prior episodes as we're going to reference them. We're going to go a little more advanced on a few topics. And if you haven't listened to these prior videos, it's not going to make a lot of sense to you. So if you haven't already done that, stop the video, go back, and go to the prior episodes. If you have, then let's dive right in to our disclaimer. Remember that any product information contained herein has not been evaluated by the FDA. Our products are not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. We don't offer medical advice of any kind. You should always consult with a personal physician if you feel like that's necessary. This is a system, it's a challenge, if you will, where we talk about an active ketogenic lifestyle, which includes meal replacement products and nutritional supplements, along with dietary and exercise guidance. The average weight loss testimonial is approximately 1 to 2 pounds per week, up to 15 pounds total. And with that, let's go ahead and dive right in. So excited today to go over some of the things that you can look at adjusting, some of the tweaks to make to improve your results if you feel like you're on a plateau or a stall. It happens to all of us, so it's not to worry that you're unusual. Okay, so when we talk about breaking a plateau or stall when you're doing the ketogenic lifestyle, the first thing we need to talk about is starting with realistic expectations. So I'm going to share what we normally hear, kind of what happens to the average person when they start on the ketogenic lifestyle. Now, as I share this, please understand that your results can and will vary. Everyone has different issues maybe going on with them. Everyone loses weight differently, but this is just kind of a generalization of what normally happens. Normally, as people start the ketogenic diet, in their first 1 to 4 weeks, they tend to see a lot of rapid weight loss as they cut out their carbs, they go over into fat burning mode, they go into the ketosis process. A lot of times the results are pretty dramatic, not only in weight loss, but in energy and mental clarity right away in that 1 to 4 week time frame. And again, you may be different. As you hit month 2, or for some people it might be week 3, but as you hit kind of that next phase of the ketogenic diet, most people start to see weight loss slow down. And after you've kind of come off this amazing month and had a high from having so much success, it can be disappointing now that it's slowed down. That is actually normal, and that is the way the body works. The body is used to being at your heavy weight, and it needs some time to reset and recalibrate before it's willing to continue dropping weight. It needs to feel safe, like you are doing something that's sustainable, something that's healthy for it. You're especially going to see this if you've done a lot of dieting in the past and your body has gotten into that yo-yo mentality. It's thinking, okay, you're going to restrict calories or do something crazy here. So maybe I should stop losing weight and be careful till I know what this person is up to. So remember to give your body some time to do that. Now, if you continue to notice that you're dropping inches, you have to tighten your belt, or like happened to me, all your clothes are just a little too loose and the scale isn't even moving necessarily, but every time you put something on, it's too big, or it has more room in it than it had before. If your energy and mental clarity are fantastic and you're feeling really good, you are not in a stall. You need to give your body time to regenerate, to start dropping weight again. So be patient and let it do its thing, especially if you're past your first month. Now, when does it become a stall? Again, varies by person, but a lot of people somewhere in the 3 to 5 month time span of their keto journey do see a period of stalling. And again, it's more just of a healing, regenerating time for the body to go ahead and reset and come back from all the abuse we've put on it over all the years with eating high carb, with eating all the toxins. So, but if you still feel great, changes in clothes, you're on the right track. Now, where we start to look at it becoming a stall is when your energy and mental clarity aren't all that great. If you're not losing inches, there's no changes in your clothes. Basically, if you're seeing nothing at all. So let's talk about some of the reasons for that. And the very first thing that we're going to go over is, are you addressing your core needs, your foundations of health? Now, as a reminder why we stress the value of core nutrition, here is a list of some of the things that these core products do that they help support the body's natural ability to do just in these main core products. So with this core set, we're going to be helping inflammation, detox, digestion, energy and stress. We have some superfoods and a lot of antioxidants, immune support, thyroid and kidney support, cardiovascular and circulation support, and we're going to be supporting healthy blood sugar levels. And when we talk about the core, if you're not familiar with this, please go back and listen to the core video that's part of our week 1 of the 4 weeks to keto. When we are using the core package, we are addressing making sure your digestion is working, making sure you are detoxing both old and new toxins, making sure that you have your vitamins and minerals, other essential nutrients. We're also working on inflammation. Now, I want to mention with this, if your digestion is not working properly and you're taking on a lot of fat, the body is going to struggle now to break down the fat you're taking, so you're not going to have the fuel you need to burn body fat. And that's a big problem with people, and why they don't lose weight on the ketogenic diet is when there's that problem with digestion. That's why we use the ginger. The daily detox is also part of it. When you've got a digestive tract loaded with toxins and chemicals and poisons and fermenting food, that creates a problem again with digestion. It creates inflammation. That leads to a rise in cortisol. And when your inflammation is up and your cortisol levels are up, your weight is not going to drop. So the detox, the daily detox and the ginger together are so important. Inflammation. So many people have inflammation throughout their bodies. They might be experiencing a swelling or joint pain, but it's just everywhere. And again, so much of it stems from that bad digestion. And once that inflammation train starts, it's hard to turn it off. And so we've got to turn it off. And that is where the turmeric is so powerful. And you know, turmeric is just one way that we can support the body in its fight against inflammation. The muscadine boost is actually another significant way that comes in from a completely different area and helps to support our body in fighting inflammation. So what we actually see is better support to the body for inflammation when we combine the turmeric and the muscadine boost. So they are very much better together. The muscadine boost also really helps to boost circulation, maybe in a way that turmeric doesn't. So they're really good put together. And then let's talk about the Sport and Go Drive. Now this is one of my favorite products, and it helps with so many things. This is providing all of your essential vitamins, minerals, some amino acids, and some adaptogenic herbs. So these are all working in concert to make sure your thyroid's functioning, make sure you've got your B vitamins, make sure you have healthy energy, healthy kidney function, make sure your cortisol and stress levels are balanced, that your adrenal glands are supported. Also, the Sport and Go Drive is an incredible product for supporting healthy thyroid. And if your thyroid is not functioning like it should be, weight loss becomes almost impossible, even if you've done all the other things right, because the thyroid controls and regulates so many different hormones in the body, so much of your metabolism. So don't overlook the importance here of making sure your thyroid is being supported. So all of these things together absolutely change the effectiveness of the ketogenic lifestyle. So if you're trying to do keto and you're not using these products, I cannot recommend enough that you use all of these products. Particularly if you have other ongoing health issues. For example, if you've got food allergies or inflammation or no gallbladder, if you've got anything going on with the liver or the gallbladder, digestion, make sure that you're using more of the ginger. 2 is our maintenance dose, and up to 4 to 6 if you've got more severe issues, if you feel like you need more support. I know I never take less than 6 because I have those digestive issues, which are so much better now. And that daily detox, same thing. If you feel like you have more toxins, if you feel like you need more support, more kidney support, make sure that you feel free to take more if you want to take more. Inflammation. If you've got widespread inflammation, don't use 2 turmeric. That's maintenance. Use 4 to 6. And remember, you can use our culinary sizes if you need another budget option. Second of all, if you feel like you are having cravings where you're going to the fridge and you're looking for more, you're full and you know it, but you're just not quite satisfied, nothing really, you're not craving, say, chocolate or anything specific, you're just looking for something, consider adding some of our Mineral Garden. The reason for this is minerals are what we're missing when we have those cravings, when we just kind of have the munchies. And for so many people, when they add extra plant minerals, like are in our Mineral Garden, does such amazing things for appetite, cutting your appetite down. It's just, those cravings go away. I know this is a huge deal for me personally, just because I do better in ketosis, so much better. The Mineral Garden has kind of a prune juice or a concentrated cranberry juice flavor. You can mix it into your Keto Fuel shake. You can take it straight as a shot and then drink, say, your delicious sport and go after it. And some people think it tastes just fine. So it does vary by the person there, but it is a strong taste. Usually 1 to 2 ounces a day. It also gives you additional nutrition through the phytochemicals and antioxidants of a number of about 30 fruits and vegetables. Amazing, amazing product. Don't be afraid to use more minerals. And then I want to talk specifically about our ketogenic products and give you a few more tips on using those. Now, we spent more time going over these in the intro video and also in week 3, which was about snacking. One of the things that we've noticed with the Keto Fuel is that when someone does all meals and weight loss is their specific goal, that sometimes they struggle a little bit as they learn how to do the ketogenic lifestyle, learn about their ratios. But we get so much quicker success if one of the meals that you're eating is the Keto Fuel. That's because you can't mess this up, right? And it's quite feeling on its own. It's super easy to use if you're in a hurry, if you forgot to plan. So one of the tips that Chef Jennifer Winder always gives is that if you're struggling, to go back and start using the Keto Fuel as one of your meals. So, for me, where I might do intermittent fasting, maybe I skip a meal entirely and then I have a shake for a meal and then I only have one meal that I actually have to plan, and that's very, very efficient for a lot of people. And if we look at this, we go to the next slide, you can see all of the things that are in the Keto Fuel, and this is what makes it such a great whole food. The non-GMO dairy, the grass-fed whey, the whole eggs, the MCT oil, etc. And by using the shake, it helps us not mess up our ratios. So it helps us not mess up our fat, protein, carbohydrate ratios. It just makes it easier to do. And, I consider this part of my grocery bill because if I wasn't doing the shake, I'd be eating food. So for me, I don't see this as an extra supplement expense, if you will. I see it as part of my food bill. So that's a tip from Chef Jennifer Winder, and I completely concur because it's definitely something I've seen. In fact, sometimes when people want to lose weight a little faster, maybe they have a special event coming up, they will actually do what we call a shake fast, where they'll only do keto fuel for a couple of days. So that's another thing you can experiment with and just see how your body feels, kind of give your body a break and boost that fat burning mode. And then we have another product that specifically ties into breaking plateaus and stalls, and that's going to be the Infinity. So if we go to this next screen, I think we've probably underappreciated this product, maybe not spoken about it enough in prior videos. But what this Infinity is, it's a unique nutrient-dense oil. It has an abundance of antioxidants, vitamins A, C, and E, tocotrienols, a type of vitamin E, and resveratrol. It's rich in omega-3, 6, and 9 fatty acids. So not only does it help to fight free radical damage, a lot of people use it in their skincare regimens because it's a single ingredient, it's totally pure. It helps to reduce that premature aging of the skin. But when we talk about ketosis, it's amazing in its ability to help the body get into ketosis better. Because what it does is it takes the fat that you're eating and redirects it to the brain so you have sharper brain function instead of storing it in the body. So while we're increasing this fat to give the body that fuel source to run on, you can kind of think of the Infinity as something that makes that fat that you're eating even more effective. So we see those improvements in brain function. And we see over and over and over again people that have been on stalls or plateaus using the Infinity and coming out of that stall and that plateau in quite a remarkable way, actually, because it's such a big deal and it's so quick. In fact, some of the research on this product had changes in people's weight even when they didn't change their diet. Now, we don't recommend that because you're not going to see anywhere near the same results, but this is a great one to break that plateau. And I'm going to play a short clip from you with Jennifer Winder and Blake Graham where they talk about their experiences where they were stuck and how the Infinity made a difference for them.
Blake and I have talked about how this works with our program and with all these other healing aspects, and it's amazing. So I want to tell you something. I've been the same way for years. Like I lost my 60 pounds and I pretty much have been the same. I've lost inches just from working out, but there was still like 10 pounds I'm wanting to lose. So I only weigh myself once a week, and I got this oil, and the only thing that I was doing different in my life, literally the only change, was I added the oil as well as a Sport and Go Kick, which is like my all-time favorite drink right now. And I weighed myself a week later and I was down 3 pounds, and I was shocked because it was the only thing. And I had told Blake, I was like, because I've known Blake for years, like my guy, I learned all my information from him, and I'm like, hadn't seen him because of the pandemic and not being out, and we haven't been doing a lot of stuff except for via Zoom. And man, when I saw him, I about dropped dead. So I'm loving this stuff. I have to tell you, it totally curbs my appetite. My husband said the exact same thing. I didn't even know that would be a side effect of it. So maybe I didn't see it listed on the thing, but it is a huge side effect for me. And I love it. We're going to keep going with it. Every time my kids get like a mark or a scratch, I'm like, come here, I have oil.
Absolutely amazing. I know when I first got it and started to use it, one of the things that impressed me is how easy it is to use. I mean, the taste is very, very, well, neutral, if you would. You just mix it. I just put it in and swallow it, and there's no problem. A lot of people mix it in, like you mentioned, put it in the kick. This is my kick, and it works great in that. It works great in many things, right? But the other thing, and this is something that I didn't start with, but with all these people making comments that not only had I lost weight, I was looking younger, and I'm thinking, I haven't been doing a lot of skincare. I'm one of those that understands the value of skincare and uses on occasion, but I'm a guy. I don't put makeup on. I don't have, I try not to cover up blemishes. I try to be, work on the inside, but they were noticing that they were telling me I was looking younger, and then other people started commenting.
So I love Jennifer's story because I think a lot of people find themselves here struggling to lose that last 10 pounds. Now, when she told her story here, it had only been a week, right? So she had just lost 3 pounds, but she did go on to lose the 10 pounds. And one of the things that Blake likes to talk about is that if you really need extra brain support, there's certain health concerns where that might be an issue, or you really, really want to kick up this plateau busting, fat busting kind of power of the infinity oil, don't be afraid to use more. I know some people will use 3 dropperfuls a day. So you don't have to use it only when you eat food. So if you're eating 3 meals, obviously you want to take it before you eat 3 times a day. Or if you're eating 2 meals like I do, you can take it on an empty stomach too. But as Jennifer mentioned, it helps with that appetite reduction as well. So of course, if you're not hungry, it's less likely that you're going to overeat or do anything wrong, right? So this is something that just if you want to curb your appetite, you want to cut those cravings a little bit, it's another option. So many people that struggle with keto for one reason or another, this kind of seems to be a missing piece for them. So don't overlook this one. If you're not using it and you're stuck, maybe you started keto a while ago when this product wasn't available, try it, see how you do. You may be very, very pleasantly surprised. If you've been using it a little bit, maybe you've been using it as skincare, which it's great at, or just occasionally try increasing your use and see how you do with it. Now, so if you are taking the products already and you have that covered, it's often time to recheck your ratios, meaning you need to track your protein, fat, and carbs for a few days. I like to either use the Keto Diet app to look these up if it doesn't say on my nutritional label or my food doesn't have that nutritional label, or Chronometer is an app that a lot of people really like for the ketogenic diet. You can just look that up online. Remember that we need to start with that minimum 2 to 1 fat to protein ratio. We've gone over this multiple times throughout this 4-week series. We went over it in most detail in week 1. So if you need a refresher, go back to week 1. You need twice as much fat as protein on any given meal every day. So not a daily total of 2 to 1. It needs to be 2 to 1 really every time you eat, so at every meal. What happens is people get comfortable with the ketogenic diet, we tend to drift a little bit and we start adding a little more protein and we realize there are a few more carbs or a little less fat. So this is why going back to your ratios and making sure you're doing well is so important. I know one of the ambassadors I was working with was doing super well on her fat, doing well on her protein, but had crept back up to 70 carbs. So no, she definitely wasn't losing weight. So make sure you take a look at that. Now, if you find you are still on the 2 to 1, you might be someone who has more problems with blood sugar or more health challenges, and you're just not able to get into full ketosis at that 2 to 1 ratio. That's where you want to look at going to a 3 to 1 fat to protein ratio and making sure you're under 25 net carbs. And remember, to figure net carbs, we subtract total fiber from total carbs, as well as we can subtract sugar alcohols from total carbs. And that gives us our net carb number. Now, this troubleshooting tip is directed toward women. I would imagine there were some men, but generally men can lose weight easier than women, as we already know, unfortunately. So on the ketogenic diet, we don't talk about counting calories for the most part. As a general rule, the only time that I've seen calories be a problem for people is if their protein was too high. So let's say, for example, a 150-pound woman was eating 100 grams of protein, which is way more than our formula for protein, where we divide your weight by 2.2, and that's the grams of protein you use. So if she's eating 100 grams of protein to get a 2 to 1 fat to protein ratio, she would now need to eat 200 grams of fat. And when you run the numbers for calories, you get into the 3,000. I even had one person that was into the 4,000 calories a day range. And obviously, you're going to gain weight at that many calories because you're not burning, unless you're doing extremely vigorous physical activity, probably running a marathon, you're not going to burn 3,000 to 4,000 calories a day. So if you suspect that you're one of these people, make sure your ratios are correct. Make sure your protein is where it needs to be. Divide your weight by 2.2 to figure that out. Then go ahead and take a look at your calories. And we're not talking going down to 700 calories here. We're usually looking at something in the range of 15 to 2,000. So for a lot of people, it's not even a low-calorie diet. But this is something that you're going to need to experiment with yourself, because while I am giving you general guidelines, everyone is different based on their insulin sensitivity, the amount of weight they have to lose, their overall health, even genetics. There's so many things that come into this. Now, this is a big one that is a problem for a lot of people, both men and women. And we say it as a joke, have you gone nuts? And what we mean is, have you gotten into eating too many nuts? Now, nuts like almonds and macadamia and even pecans are wonderful ketogenic foods. However, the old commercial on Lay's potato chips, you can't eat just one? That's kind of how nuts are. They're so good that it's so easy to just go nuts about them. And what happens when we do that is we mistakenly start to rack up a tremendous amount of calories. We start to increase our protein and even our carbs as you eat too many. Don't be too cheesy. Again, cheese is one of my favorite foods. I know so many of you love it too. And it's easy to just pick up cheese and eat cheese and eat cheese and eat cheese. Cheese is one of those foods, and again, we went over this in more detail in week 1 when we talked about how that cheese is equal parts fat and protein. Only exception is cream cheese. All the other cheeses, equal parts fat and protein. So every time you pick up cheese, you're contributing to your protein intake as well. Now, what happens with both the nuts and the cheese is they end up throwing you out of ketosis, largely because of the protein factor. So be careful. Cheese and nuts should not always be your go-to snacks. And if they are, you need to look for different options, and you also need to consider your portion sizes. This is one that Dr. Lindell talks about. He says that whenever he has a lot of nuts or a lot of cheese, his blood sugar is elevated the next day, and he's not in very good ketosis. When he stays away from them, he's in excellent ketosis. And I can say from personal experience, I'm not nearly as affected by nuts as I am by cheese. Cheese is a really big problem for me. So I really do limit the cheese and just replace it. I do use it sparingly. So we'll talk about measuring your blood sugar and some ways you can check in one of our upcoming slides. But as you're testing this, test one or the other. Don't pull out both, because then you won't know what it is. Are you having too much overall dairy? Now, on the ketogenic diet, we avoid milk because it's high carb. But we tend to do a lot of cream cheese, sour cream, heavy whipping cream, butter. And sometimes people are slightly sensitive to dairy, and when they go on a ketogenic diet and they start eating a lot more dairy, that sensitivity increases. And if you're one of those people, you might be experiencing feelings of extra phlegm or congestion after eating dairy products. Or even if you have a history of ear infections as a child, that can be a big sign that your dairy is sensitive. Now, if you feel like your dairy is sensitive, this is something that can also create that inflammation response and raise your blood sugar and help kick you out of ketosis. So if you are dairy sensitive, the most likely culprits, they're going to be things like heavy whipping cream, sour cream, cheese, and your least likely to be a problem foods are going to be butter. And that's because butter does not have a protein in it. Butter is strictly dairy fat, and that's usually where the problem lies. Now, in our FAQ section on Keto Made Easy, we talk about the keto fuel having some dairy, and we talk about what to do if you are dairy intolerant. So make sure you review that, ketomadeeasy.com keto.com/FAQS for facts. Most people can do the keto fuel because of its high quality and very low lactose amounts, but if you're someone who's worried, just try it cautiously. And yes, you can do keto 100% dairy-free. Again, on the FAQ section, we have a cookbook that we recommend called The Keto Diet by Leanne Vogel that has completely dairy-free recipes. So let's talk about fasting blood sugar now. This is something that Dr. Randy Lundell talks about. If your blood sugar, and let me just back up and define fasting. For those of you who aren't familiar, fasting blood sugar is your blood sugar first thing in the morning, right when you get up. It's not after you've been up for an hour. It's not if you've eaten anything or started drinking anything. It is right when you get up. Blood sugar goes up naturally shortly after waking up, so it's important to measure it when you get up. Blood sugar of 80, you're in ketosis. You had good meals the previous day. Blood sugar of 90, you're borderline ketosis. You did pretty well, but probably not enough to be fully into ketosis or getting that full mental clarity and fat burning result. Blood sugar of 100 plus, definitely not in ketosis. We definitely need to change your diet. And this is a really easy measure to take. It's inexpensive. Just go to Walmart. You can get like the Rely On brand glucose testers and strips. You can get them without a prescription. You're probably looking at $25. Now, I need to make an important note. If you are diabetic or pre-diabetic, these numbers may not apply to you. So if you are one of these people, how would you judge this? If your blood sugar is elevated above normal, what you are looking for is a consistent trend of your blood sugar coming down. If your blood sugar is continuing to trend down, you're starting to feel better. Maybe you're even needing less medication or less insulin. And make sure that you're working with your doctor, that you're communicating with them on how to reduce that. If it's coming down, if you're losing weight, then don't worry about these exact numbers. You can still watch, though, if you're taking in cheese and nuts and see how your blood sugar responds. If whatever your normal number is, if it's higher after cheese, then you know that cheese is one of your triggers and you should probably minimize it. Same thing with nuts. So just be aware of that. Do watch your numbers. They should be coming down. And the more problems you have with blood sugar, the more problems you have with insulin, the more important it is to make absolutely sure that you are feeding your body all the nutrition it needs, all of that core package. And you would be a great candidate to add the extra minerals. Again, not saying that any of our products diagnose, treat, cure, prevent, or mitigate any disease or illness. We're talking about supporting the body's ability, supporting healthy blood sugar levels. Now, as we talk about blood sugar, one of the things that I'm going to also throw in here that I have found enormously helpful, and this is completely up to you, not everyone's ready for this in the beginning, so you can work into it, but is intermittent fasting. I just noticed that when I do intermittent fasting, when I skip breakfast and my first meal is around lunchtime, so around noon, right? I just noticed that my blood sugar behaves much better. I don't have to be as picky on my ratios. I don't have to be as picky on my food choices. And I have a lot more energy and mental clarity and just feel a lot better. And it really helps for me with maintaining my weight. So that is another option that you can explore. And if you would like to know more about fasting, we did an entire episode on fasting. You see the link on the screen here. And we'll go ahead and post the link in the show notes and resources as well. And those are really the basics of what we do for troubleshooting. And as we close out, I just want to remind you where you can find all the resources. If you're looking for some of the products we talked about, the cookbook, the Keto Made Easy, you can find it at wellnesssprings.com. And if you go to ketomadeeasy.com, if you look at the Getting Started tab, you'll find our recommended cookbooks, you'll find our food list, you'll find all of these videos, all 4 weeks of keto, including the intro video and this bonus video. And if you go to the recipe tab, you'll see our keto recipes. If you go to the FAQ section, you'll find lots of common questions that are asked. The livingyourketolife.com, that is Jennifer Winder's personal recipe subscription site. And if you're looking for core nutrition and keto products, you can always find those with your Infinity account. If you don't already have an account, you can reach out to me at info@wellnessspringsinc.com and we can help you create one. And then finally, the Living Healthy Today podcast at livinghealthytoday.podbean.com. Hopefully, this helps you break a stall or just understand that maybe you weren't in a stall. And thank you so much for all that you do to make a difference in your own life, to be there for other people, and to make a difference in the lives of others.